The younger generation, they're all doing those pills.
Mexi Blues, a street name for the phony oxy pills flooding our communities.
Smoking the blues.
The fiercely addictive fentanyl-laced pills tearing families apart.
Gonna get better and give me a grandbaby.
Driving the spikes in addiction, crime, homelessness, and death.
This is an existential threat to the United States. China and Mexico are flooding our city streets with poison.
We hear from the feds who are fighting to kill the cartel smuggling business and to raise awareness about this health crisis, despite our state's laws that are soft on drugs. And we visit tent cities with the brave nurses and addiction specialists fighting to save lives.
You're talking about wound care, addiction medicine, psychiatry, substance use, you name it, all at once.
Good evening and thank you for joining us as we shine a spotlight on our fentanyl crisis. This drug is killing people in our state at epidemic proportions, and it is fueling the increase in homelessness and driving crime as addicts steal property and cars looking for quick cash to feed their habit. Fentanyl abuse is so rampant that a Metro bus driver testified he loves looking back and seeing happy customers, but that's not what he's seeing now.
You see the picture in my background. That's not a random picture. That's from one trip on the train. They sat back there, and each one of those pieces of foil represents somebody using fentanyl on one trip.
That driver had agreed to talk with us on camera until he says his job was threatened by Metro and their union. Now too scared to speak or to allow us to share video with you that was taken by another driver showing drug use on Metro buses. He did send this letter of complaint to the State Department of Labor and Industries, saying the rampant smoking of fentanyl pills on the bus is putting driver and passenger safety at risk. L&I responded to him, saying they contacted King County Metro and the transit agency has opened an investigation after confirming drug use increased during the last 3 months of 2021. We asked Metro for an interview and video of specific routes and times. King County Metro sent us a statement saying the challenge Metro is facing is part of a much broader issue facing the region, and that smoking and drug use continue to be a violation of Metro's code of conduct. Metro has not responded yet to the records request we submitted to get video to show you what's happening on the buses. It's just the latest major safety concern about these fake prescription pills that are everywhere these days.
Your local pill dealer is not a local pill dealer. He is an armed drug trafficker, and then that is the evolution of what has taken place.
Fentanyl is a synthetic opioid invented in a lab in 1960 and approved 8 years later to help cancer patients. Like heroin and morphine, it mimics the pain-relieving qualities of opium, but fentanyl is 80 to 100 times stronger than morphine, making it the go-to ingredient for cartel chemists churning out bootleg and potentially deadly prescription pills.
Our streets are inundated with fentanyl, and specifically when it comes to counterfeit pills.
DEA agents seized more than 20 million counterfeit pills nationwide in 2021. That's more than the previous 2 years combined.
Some pills are poorly made, but some are nearly identical. The only way you're going to know is with a chemist. Nobody's has a chemist available to test pills, so therefore you just don't know.
On the left is a real oxycodone pill. On the right is a fake. The only difference is 40%, or 2 out of every 5 counterfeit pills, contain a lethal dose of fentanyl. So just how much fentanyl does it take to kill you?
To give you a frame of reference, that's 2 milligrams. That's considered a lethal dose of fentanyl. That's 2 milligrams right there.
Because fentanyl is so strong and causes feelings of euphoria, cartels mix it with filler and food dyes to create fake versions of oxycodone, OxyContin, and Xanax. Many times, fentanyl pills come in a blue form, stamped with an M30 to mimic the oxycodone pills made by Mallinckrodt Pharmaceuticals. But the scariest thing is that fentanyl can become disguised as any pill. They are cheaper to make, but give users more of a high than even heroin and meth, leading to addictions that can be incredibly hard to kick.
This is not what you grew up with and somebody ended up getting a bag of marijuana that they brought to the high school or anything like that. This is a multi-billion-dollar industry set up by these drug cartels.
Those fake pills cost pennies to make and yield massive profits. Last year, Customs and Border Patrol seized more than 5 tons of fentanyl nationwide. Going by 2 milligrams as a lethal dose, that's enough to kill 2 billion people. The largest bust came in August near San Diego, where agents found 127 pounds of the deadly opioid hidden in a trailer. It had a street value of $13 million. But to the cartels, it's all a numbers game. Thousands of vehicles per hour cross the border between the U.S. and Mexico. Fewer than 5% go through high-energy scanners that can detect abnormalities in packages and alert agents that pills are stuffed inside, meaning most drug shipments get through. When they do, the fake cartel pills end up with dealers who sell them on the streets, at clubs, and on social media. A lesson Colleen Gregoire learned firsthand.
Russian roulette is what it is.
Colleen says her 20-year-old son Bobby bought some pills after connecting with someone on Snapchat. He thought they were Percocets, but they were laced with fentanyl. Bobby overdosed and died in his sleep.
I think a lot of people don't think it's going to happen to them until it happens to them.
Bobby was one of more than 64,000 Americans killed by fentanyl between April 2020 and April 2021. Even though users know it's deadly, most can't stop on their own because fentanyl is so addictive. So one group of healthcare providers in Pierce County is taking offers of help directly to them. I joined the CMAR Street Medicine team, multi-care chemical dependent specialists, and Great Lakes housing case managers on their mission to help those living on the fringe. And I met one woman who was candid with me about her fentanyl use. Hey guys, how's it going?
Hey, good morning.
I'm David.
Hey, Elliot.
Hi, Elliot. Nice to see you. Thanks for doing this today.
Yeah,
we
absolutely.
appreciate it. I see you guys are loading up some gear. What's going on?
We're going to do some outreach, medical outreach with some housing case managers and a substance use professional in Fife and some spots in Tacoma as well.
Pretty state-of-the-art kind of cool stuff.
The goal of this is to reduce ER visits and hospital use among the highest users. So we basically triage all of Pierce County and go out to different encampments and see what we can do to bridge people back to brick and mortar clinics.
We're putting a spotlight on this terrible fentanyl addiction going on. How much of that are you seeing?
Daily. I think a lot of what we try to do is harm reduction. I can't necessarily fix homelessness, but I can try and hold the fort medically, and whether that's an abscess or a wound that we need to treat or trying to get someone connected to services when they're ready, that's important, but by all means, the fentanyl issue has definitely been an issue.
You kind of have to watch where you walk too.
Yeah, we definitely keep each other aware. You know, needles, 6 o'clock.
Are you finding that the fentanyl, the meth, whatever other drugs you're seeing are more addictive now and stronger than they used to be?
I think certainly compared to maybe 5-10 years ago, there's a lot more polysubstance use. So you've got meth and opioids together, and that creates all kinds of problems. I've definitely got to wear a lot of different hats. Is this actually bothering you? It is? Okay. Wound care, addiction medicine, psychiatry, substance use, normal breaths in and out, you name it, all at once. There you go. You are definitely like a field medic. I've been in Bosnia before and seen, you cough for me? Field medics, and they're out doing this, and you've got to kind of be aware of your surroundings. Hey, Elliot from CMAR Medical, how are you doing? Because you're definitely out in the street. It's their turf. It's not, you know, it's their home.
Have you tried fentanyl?
In the blues.
The blues?
Smoking the blues.
You smoke the blues? Are they pretty prevalent, pretty easy to get if you wanted some?
The blues, yeah, they're everywhere. Everywhere. It's heroin and meth you can't find anymore. So, fentanyl is, I've seen lifelong heroin addicts walk away from the heroin and dive right into the blues. I could put this pill on tinfoil and take 2 hits and be dead.
Does it scare you?
Yeah, it does. It's real scary. Sitting there talking to somebody and all of a sudden they're dead. It's crazy.
How much can you buy one for on the streets?
If you know the right people, as little as $2.
$2?
But you gotta buy a lot.
Yeah.
But the going rate is $10.
For those, for the Mexi Blue?
$8 to $10. Yeah.
So where would you go around here if you wanted some pills? Would you get on a phone? Is there a place you'd go?
Oh, you can do it by phone, or just ask anybody you walk by on the street, pretty much.
Is it an escape from reality? Is it for pain? Why do you do them?
For me, it's pain, and that's why I need to get into the doctor. 'Cause I don't want to be one of the statistics out here. I'm just done with it. Done with it. need to get into a doctor about my lupus, and
Need to get some regular medication
Yeah.
to deal with your pain.
Oh, yeah.
So you're not turning to something that could end up killing
it's
you like
gonna
that.
be carried out of here rather than walk out. Yeah. Yeah.
Bless you. Can I give you a hug?
Yeah,
Oh,
thank
bless
you.
your heart. Yeah, of course. Bless
Thank
your heart.
you.
Our state is drowning in a sea of those Mexi blues. They're cheap, addictive, and poorly made. What are these cartel chemists like?
They're using very rudimentary lab infrastructure, chemistry type environments with very little, if no, quality control.
Welcome back to the Spotlight, our fentanyl crisis, where just one pill can kill you. I spoke with Frank Tarantino, special agent in charge of the DEA Seattle Field Division, who says they are taking a two-prong approach, a public awareness campaign about the dangers and prosecution of the cartels and dealers flooding the Pacific Northwest with this deadly drug. Is this fentanyl problem one of the most dangerous things we're facing right now in our country?
I believe very strongly this is an existential threat to the United States. China and Mexico are flooding our city streets with poison. When you talk about 100,000 overdose deaths, 64,000 of those overdose deaths directly related to synthetic opioids, mostly fentanyl, this is a big issue and a major threat to the United States, a public health and public safety threat.
Are the cartels aware of the political climate here where drugs are essentially legal now because of the changes in the law? Do they know this is a ripe community?
It's a good question, but I would say that the drug cartels have absolutely no concern whatsoever for the legalization or the criminality that's associated with drug trafficking. For them, it's all about making money. This is a $500 billion a year business for the drug cartels. They're making a lot of money. They're looking to drive addiction. Fentanyl is highly addicting, and for them, it's all about how much fentanyl can they get onto the city streets.
Well, let's talk about these so-called Mexi blues, these fake Oxy 30s. What are these cartel chemists like? How much training do they have? You know, is this a lab with people in white coats mixing up batches, or you've seen some of the operations there. What is it like?
So I think we first have to look at, where does this start? It starts in China. It starts in places like India, and China needs to be held more responsible for this. They're a major contributor to the chemicals, the precursor chemicals that are getting into Mexico, and what the Mexican cartels are doing is they're using very rudimentary, very basic, lab infrastructure, chemistry type environments to create these pills with very little, if no, quality control. These super labs are basically in every state in Mexico. What China and India are doing are flooding Mexico with these precursor chemicals, predominantly fentanyl, right? And that fentanyl is being mixed into these pills and this meth being mass produced to drive addiction, right? So when we see these overdose deaths increase, 100,000 overdose deaths in the last year, that's significantly higher than years past. When you talk about one person dying every 5 minutes from an overdose, 275 people a day dying of an overdose, those are astronomical numbers. If this were an airliner that crashed with 275 souls on it every day, what would we be doing?
It'd lead the news every night.
Every night.
Why would the cartels want to kill their customers if we have so many people overdosing from this drug?
We need to go back to what motivates and what drives the cartels. It's about money. And when it's about money, their inventiveness, their imagination and innovation is as great as some of our most successful businesses in the world. Their number one goal is to get their product, this highly addictive product, from production through transportation to distribution into the city streets. For them, driving addiction or increasing addiction by lacing these counterfeit pills with more fentanyl and then getting more people addicted is part of their business model. The more people that they can get addicted, the more pills they're going to need to sell, the more pills that they'll move into the U.S. market, and the more money they'll make. It's all about making money. They don't have a care in the world about the people that are unfortunately dying from these overdose deaths.
Is it as bad right now as you've ever seen it with the fentanyl?
I think it is. I think this is the most significant problem that we've had in a long time. If we just look at the last 4 months of last year, in a very directed, very concentrated enforcement operation in the Pacific Northwest, quite honestly throughout the United States, the Seattle Field Division seized 1.4 million fentanyl-laced counterfeit pills. We seized approximately 200 firearms, and over 2.1 or 2.3 million dollars from these different drug trafficking organizations.
Did it frustrate the cartels? Did you put a dent in their business?
So David, I think every successful operation is potentially frustrating to the cartels. Every time we remove their product from the streets without them gaining a dollar or yielding any kind of profit is disruptive. But more importantly, we're saving lives. We're taking and removing very dangerous, poisonous drugs from the city streets. When we talk about taking 12 kilos of pure fentanyl out of circulation, that's enough fentanyl to kill every person in the state of Washington.
Special Agent Tarantino tells me the DEA is still taking tips from the public on dope houses and dealers. And he wants parents and teachers to learn the secret emoji code being used by your kids to score pills on apps like Snapchat and Instagram. You can find that information and the tip line on DEA.gov or on our website, fox13seattle.com. 2 young women lost to addiction, how bad decisions and the wrong friends led to the deaths of these beloved young women, and how a prosecutor is hoping to get justice with a scientific approach. We're back on the Spotlight. And one of the sad and undeniable truths about addiction is that it drives the user to make increasingly worse decisions, too often leading to death. A common thread in 2 unsettling stories from the Spotlight's Matt Markovich.
You know, Christmas just got over. We just celebrated her 31st birthday. And it just didn't go well.
Vicki Turner is grieving the loss of her daughter and a shared wish.
She's gonna get better and give me a grandbaby. She's gonna get better and have a baby. And live a real life.
Police say Cassandra Booker was found dead with a gunshot wound to the head in the stairwell of a Bellingham apartment building 1 week ago. And there's probable cause to arrest Shiloh Englert for her murder. Surveillance video shows he was the last person to see her alive in the stairwell.
I'm not ignorant to the fact that my daughter, she was beautiful, but she definitely had issues, and I think they played a huge part in all of this. And I mean drug issues.
A woman who's not a suspect told police she, Booker, and Englert were smoking fentanyl in the stairwell, and then she left Englert and Booker alone. Cassandra's mom says her daughter was supposed to move into the Agape home for women and children the day before, but did not make it.
Monday night we had an amazing FaceTime call. It was absolutely beautiful, so exciting. She's moving, we're happy.
For years, she's feared for her daughter's safety because of Cassandra's admitted drug addiction. But now she finds some comfort.
Nobody took her and drug her off and tormented her. That didn't happen, and I'm blessed to know that.
That's 25-year-old Ariel LeBau on the left, singing with her mom. Soon after this video was taken, Ariel was found dead of an overdose. These are the pills police found next to her body, and detectives recognized fentanyl was involved.
Through our investigation, we learned that she had purchased those pills most likely right before she died.
Police arrested Trevin Lane, the man they believe sold Ariel the fentanyl. But rather than charge him with drug dealing, the county prosecutor has charged him with controlled substance homicide, a more serious crime with a higher bar of proof.
You really have to know that that person is responsible for giving that one pill that caused someone to die. That's the big leap there, isn't it?
It is the big leap.
Using text messages between Ariel and Lane and cell phone triangulation, detectives believe they are able to prove Lane provided the pill that killed Ariel.
Based on the timeline here between Lane and LeBau, we felt that we can prove beyond a reasonable doubt that he was the person that delivered the fatal fentanyl to her.
But here's where the characteristics of fentanyl can actually help investigators. A high dose of fentanyl can kill quickly, so much so a medical examiner can determine if fentanyl can be the cause of death, even if other narcotics are in someone's system.
We've seen prosecutors file controlled homicide charges on dealers in the past, only to settle for lesser charges. So we'll continue to follow that case for you here on the Spotlight. And when we continue, some hope for a better tomorrow and a musician we met in an unexpected place. Finally tonight, we end with something unexpected. As we wandered the woods in Fife with the healthcare team looking for encampments, we were surprised to hear the sweet sounds of a piano. It turned out to be a couple in love planning for a better future.
I love his music. He sings to me every day. Every morning we get up, he's singing to me.
How difficult is it to survive with the kind of drugs that are coming into these camps?
I'm going into a program today, as a matter of fact, at 1 o'clock I go into the program, working for the city of Fife and Vallejo. So I'm getting out of it, homes and, you know, treatment.
Why did you start using meth?
Started using when my oldest son was shot and killed 13 years ago.
What's life like living here?
God provides our food, of course, but we have a food truck that comes here on Sunday and drops off crates and boxes of food for us for all week. I mean, the food lasts us all week, so otherwise it's just hit and miss with anybody that gives us handouts, you know.
What's finally made you want to make that change?
Just fed up with it, sick of it. And the younger generation, they're all doing those pills. It's gross.
Have you tried to get off it before?
No.
You're ready to do it?
I'm ready to do it.
Yeah.
It's been long enough.
Where do you hope you are a year from now?
In my own home, with my grandkids, you know, visiting, and my kids visiting. So, yeah, with Fono.